Hey, you want to check out what's happening in alternative porn in France? Let me introduce you to Carré Rose Films. Founded by Carmina, a French-Mexican performer and longtime advocate for sex worker rights. This indie studio is doing things differently, putting performers first, pushing for diversity, and tackling industry issues head on, all of which keep all while keeping things hot and fun. One example, check out this series, 60 Minutes with. Carmina meets a fellow performer for 1 hour. No script, no plan, just sees where the moment takes them, and you get to be right there with them. Don't worry about whether you speak French or not. All films are either in English or subtitled, so you won't miss a thing. Curious? Head to carrierosefilms.com. That's CARRIE rosefilms.com. Cams.com is a performer-run webcam studio working with models who want to make serious bank doing online sex work. Top Treasure Cams models are earning 100K plus a year, taking home weekly fat paychecks. We have a great affiliate program to reward you for any traffic you bring to the site. We help you set up with equipment, tech, sales techniques, monthly meetings, and so much more. Visit treasurecams.com to learn more about us and to cam with us. Have you ever been looking for an amazing queer cam performer? Well, I got you covered. You should check out TS Cami. Her super hot content is on Chatterbait, Twitter, Xhamster, and Reddit. Support this rad trans femme. Enter your fantasies. Big Fantasy is a porn star, stripper, femdom, and expert making your fantasies come true. Explore Fig's secret, luxurious world at AQUATAFANA collective.net and at Figs Fantasies on OnlyFans and Figs Fantasy on Instagram. She's waiting for you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Performers Pod. I'm Chelsea Poe, and I'm here today with Dusty Bunny, fresh off her win at the Tea Show. Congratulations. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome to the Tea Show Winners Club. How are you feeling after that? That was last weekend, correct?
Yes, a little over 7 days ago. I'm still trying to come back down to earth and figure out what life after that looks like. I don't know, I'm taking a little bit of time for myself, a little bit of a break from pumping out so much content, trying to protect my mental health, especially in this day and age with
So
Trump
important.
and yeah, just in general, a lot of upheaval, it feels like, in the adult entertainment world. So yeah, it feels really good. It feels honestly surreal to be recognized by the judges, by everyone involved in the event, to be up there with so many big names and have it come out. And yeah, it's just so beyond anything I dreamt of. So I'm just very happy, but also need pinches. It's a good thing it's St. Patty's Day.
So, are you originally from Arizona, or did you move there? Are you originally from the West Coast?
So I am a West Coast girly. I lived most of my early years in California, but I've been in Arizona now for, gosh, I guess since the year 2000. So this whole entire millennia, I've been
Oh,
in Arizona
wow.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, I my dad lived there when I was a teen, so I have some Arizona ties. Not super strong, but I know a little way
Just
around
the
the
right
valley.
amount. Yeah, just the right amount of ties. Like one weekend
Yeah.
every quarter, maybe. That's the right amount of Arizona time.
Yeah,
Otherwise, yeah.
I know what javelinas are. That's enough, I feel like.
Oh, roving bands of javelinas are terrorizing our streets right now. They're everywhere.
For people who have never been to Arizona, or really the desert as a whole, there's these scary ass pigs that just roam around Arizona and they're known to take down like small dogs. Can just do whatever they want and they're really not that controlled, I feel like, right?
They're not controlled. You'll be leaving the saloon one night, stepping out through those little flappy doors out in your one-way dirt street of Arizona, and a pack of javelinas will come up to you, up to no good, and they'll take your sarsaparilla money. It's really, really horrible.
Legitimately, they are terrifying. Like when I first discovered them, I'm like, this can't be real. And it's like, no, they're real. They just like hang out under the tree all day eating apples. I'm like, alarming.
I would take
Um,
them over the Florida bugs any day, though. I hate bugs.
yeah, I mean, California has some scary things, but I'm very glad I don't have to deal with most of those things on a daily level. So, how
Yes.
long have you been in the industry now? I seen you around for a minute. I see you making also trans BDSM, which I'm like, fuck yeah, that there's more girls continuing to do that. Just warms my heart so much, honestly.
Yeah, a big part of that is, of course, your inspiration. Seeing the
Oh,
public debasement of Chelsea Poe early in my career, that was a big eye opener. Like, wow, people are really out here doing crazy, new boundary pushing shit. So, yeah, I don't know. I
things.
guess, yeah, if you, how long have I been in the industry? That's a good question. I mean, it depends on if you include, I guess, like amateur time, like posting to Reddit and FetLife, or if it's more like, hey, I'm actually gonna do this. I'm actually gonna set up an OnlyFans. I'm actually gonna like make money and get release forms. If you count the later deadline, I guess I started around October 2023. That was like my first actual collab, and when I really like made a Twitter and like decided to have a stage name and get into it.
So amazing. Yeah, so that's literally the same month I shot the public debasement scene. That's crazy.
We were on the same wavelength. It must have been something in the moon or the air or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm glad I connected with you because were you a big Public Disgrace fan before that?
I really was. I really hadn't even heard of the series or the incredible Princess Donna, who I've gotten to meet now, and she's awesome. So I really knew nothing about it. Seeing that, seeing you getting degraded and humiliated in front of all those people, it was just like, wow, yeah, maybe one day.
I'm glad I could be inspirational with that because yeah, when I first moved to the Bay, I moved here to work for kink.com and that was always my dream site. Princess Donna left before I got here. I took the job in July and I think they left in August and I moved here in December. And obviously back then they still wouldn't shoot trans women in that role. So I'm really glad that it had such a direct impact on you that you were like, oh shit, I can make fucked up porn like this now too.
Yeah, we need more good, reputable, safe studios putting out trans BDSM, not any like dudes with cameras who claim to be rope tops, just like actual
Fuck yeah.
legitimate. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's such a big thing, and I think it's so inspirational for me to see like your generation of trans performers now who it's just a viable option for you guys where you're like, oh, I can shoot extreme porn if I want to. I'm a woman, I can shoot whatever I want. Where I feel like for my generation was still like just fighting to be in those spaces. So it just like honestly is so inspiring to me to see this next generation just being like, oh yeah, I can shoot porn like this because you definitely shoot some extreme porn.
Yes, we are definitely skirting around some of those OnlyFans content moderation guidelines. Like that's what our generation, that's our generation's big battle. We shattered the glass ceiling for trans women, but now we have the OnlyFans content moderators trying to sanitize and steamroll everything into being some generic slop. So yeah, I want to keep pushing the envelope for sure and finding new ways to get crazy stuff out there.
So you were like on FetLife, you were it sounds like doing like amateur DIY stuff. What really like inspired you to be like, hey, I need to go legit with this and really what like other performers inspired you to be like, okay, I can do this. I can make extreme content on my own terms as a trans woman.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of thing where I was online, sort of posting pictures of myself, really almost as long as I can remember, but especially as like I got closer to actual transition, it was something that I was doing more for validation. I wasn't out obviously in the real world. I wasn't out dressing how I wanted to. So the
Mm,
online space kind of gave me that safe space to seek validation and seek feedback and stuff and kind of get that validation that we all crave as humans, as females, for how we look. Um, but what happened actually was in October 26th of 2023, I lost my job. And then October
mm,
27th, I was contacted by a performer, a well-known male performer who had seen some of my work. And he's like, hey, do you want to make this? And I'm like, yeah, let's shoot. I mean, it's someone that had been on my radar for a while. So I was like, yeah,
mhm.
let's do it. That sounds great to me. I guess I have to make a Twitter now and OnlyFans and capitalize on this. And it's just kind of one of those moments where, like, a door closes, so you jump through a window, right? So I just sort
For
of tried to
sure.
run with it. Um, yeah, I mean, obviously, a lot of amazing performers had kind of inspired me what kind of porn I wanted to make, both on the cis side and trans side as well. I mean, obviously, you have
Hmm.
legends like Natalie, but also people like Stephanie too, who have been in this a long time, making really kinky,
Yeah.
beautiful smut. Stephanie Special, and then a lot of great cis performers like Belladonna and Sasha Grey, and just people.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm dating myself now, probably,
No,
but
but
like
like it's so funny because Stephanie and I were literally talking about all these same references on our podcast like 2 weeks ago that you're in the same wavelength where you're like you, Stephanie, Princess Donna, Belladonna, Sasha Grey, like we're so all within the same genre of stuff and like same realm that I'm like, okay, you get it, you get it.
yes, all those amazing performers did something to us, our young impressionable brains.
So how old were you when you started in the industry, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh gosh, like so October 2023, I was 31 years old. I guess I'm 32
Okay.
now. Yeah, crap.
I mean, I love that there's now not just like there's so many options and so many stories about how people get into porn now where it doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm 19, I'm 20, getting into this industry, that it's something that you were probably able to come at with a better perspective being 31 as opposed to if you were 20.
I don't know how y'all do it who start off super young. I feel like I would have just gotten eaten alive and yeah, I
I
don't know. I'm
mean, it's not smooth. Like
yeah.
there was some anxiety attacks inside the armory. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's, I think, very hard when you're that young because you're still trying out figure out how to be an adult on top of trying to manage this career thing that doesn't usually, work out for most people.
True. It's very competitive. One of my best friends right now, she's a performer. She's only 24. And I try to tell her, like, yeah, the same feelings you're feeling in your career now are the same feelings you'd feel in any other career. I used to have like a mainstream finance sales kind of job, and it
Hmm.
was almost the same like thing, the same feelings. This is my last, sales. This is my last job. This is my last shoot. You kind of, when you're young and starting out, I feel like you always go through those same questions of doubt and getting your
Yeah.
footing with anything new like that. But I am grateful I spent so long, I guess, in the business world and kind of got to learn a few things about how to network, about how to promote myself, about how to keep my cool with sales, which I feel like has helped definitely with my adult career.
Yeah. I feel like there's just so many ups and downs in any entertainment industry career, whether it's being porn, mainstream film, music, that I think probably at 31 you're able to um, weather the storm more, where you're gonna have highs, you're gonna have lows, and you can kind of, ride with that more than when you're, just basically a teen or in your early 20s.
The only trade-off is the increased body horror. Oh my God. Like, yeah, it's I do wish I was still in my early 20s, if only for that, if only for having flawless skin and flawless perfect back and not having a cars crash into me as many times as they have. So yes, with age comes wisdom, but also comes many achy joints and random other ailments.
For real, I'm one of the first times we talked, you were bringing that up. You're like, you did a bondage shoot, and I was talking to you about it, and you're like, I was so sore afterwards. It's like, I feel that. I'm 31 now, and it's just like I feel it. You feel it so much more than you do when you're younger. Where I feel like there's a lot more performers who can do like, were you at AVN this year?
I was not there, no. I was there like the
Okay.
week before, but I didn't go to the actual like expo or events.
One of the girls who won, the girl who won Best New Starlet, she went on stage and she's like, well, I performed in 200 scenes this year. And it's just like body wise, it's just so crazy that people can really keep their body in good enough shape and just like rehab it and do enough that you can perform every other day, essentially.
Believe me, if I could perform every day, every other day, I would. It sounds like a lot of fun, but I also would definitely go insane after like 5 days doing my makeup in a row. So yeah.
Yeah, I like shooting, but shooting to that intensity, I don't think I could mentally handle that. Because I think that's
Yeah.
also such a big part of it too, that you have to. go through all the preparation and all of that as well.
That's what people don't realize is there's really like a million different things. It's not like show up, have sex on camera. There's so many moving parts, so many things you have to do to get ready, so many details that if you're like me and a perfectionist, you're kind of mindful of. So yes, I love shooting, but also my motto of shooting is everything that can go wrong will go wrong. And Lord, in the last year and a half, has that been proven true over and over again.
I mean, I think that's an important thing we can talk about here because I feel like people see someone win on stage and they're like, oh, everything in their career is going great. But there's a lot of ups and downs and there's a lot of difficulties in your career where you're like, am I doing this? Is this going to work? Like, even during the public disgrace, seeing like the production of it, there were so many times during it where I'm like, I'm fucking crazy. There's no way this is going to work. There's a reason why these companies aren't shooting it anymore. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
even if it's something that you see and you're like, oh, I'm inspired by this, trans women can do this sort of thing. In the process, I had so much doubt because I'm like, this is the biggest production I've done. This is all this big stuff. Do you want to like talk about some of the lows as well that have obviously gone with your huge high of winning best independent creator? It was at the T show, correct?
Yeah, best. I don't know. They keep changing the name of the award. And this year it's best self producer. I think last year it was best content creator. But yeah, it's hard. It's touching to hear that you also have had the same experience.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you've had that experience, but yeah, I try to keep in mind that even the best take their licks, and that I need to be patient with things. Because yeah, a lot of times it's in our head. I might finish a shoot and start reviewing the footage and be like, "This sucks. This is horrible." And then the fan reaction is great, and I'm literally just being my own harshest enemy. I've had all kinds of crazy shit happen. I've lit my hair on fire the night before studio shoots. I've had styes appear in my eye the night before studio shoots.
Oh my God.
I've had my luggage get lost flying cross country for shoots. I've just like anything that can go wrong has gone wrong, which is why I just feel like at this point I'm just almost like a Zen Buddha. I'm just like, okay, whatever happens, I'm just gonna roll with the punches.
I do have to say, converting to Buddhism has definitely helped me a lot through the ups and downs of this industry because it's so easy to get lost in like the highs of it where you're like, oh, I had this movie and it went really well. I won this award. So then you're like, oh, this is going to continue. And then the next time something goes wrong, you're like, what's next? All of this going to fall apart? Was that the peak? You know what I mean? But I think it's very
Mm-hmm.
easy to get lost in the kind of ups and downs of it.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I remember when I first was kind of blowing up, like the mania and just feeling like all the attention was getting to my head. And thankfully, I'm a lot more grounded now, a lot more like, I don't know, just grounded myself and centered. So I haven't been feeling such a crazy giant swing the last like week or two. But yeah, it definitely, I look back on all those little issues, all those crises, which I thought for sure were derailing my career and stealing my magic. And now it all seems silly and I can laugh about it, thankfully, for the most part, in retrospect.
Yeah, I mean, all those lows, I feel like, contribute to your wins as much as the very clear things that you're like, oh, I made this movie, it went good. But I feel like you also kind of need the lows to kind of add depth to it. And also just like that's what a career is. You're not always going to be on top. There's very few people who have won every single thing they've been up for, you know?
Absolutely. I learned that because my old job was in like sales, and I learned pretty quick that competition is not a valid, sustainable path to happiness. Because, yeah, you're not going to always be on top. If that's all your happiness is based on is winning, you're going to be in for a really bad time.
Yeah, I really like looking back through like old AVNs and stuff. Like, you know, Sasha Grey was up for Best New Starlight, right?
Oh, and when was that?
Like in maybe like 2004 and she
Oh my
lost.
goodness. Oh, see, yeah, you gotta have
Right? Like
yeah.
you don't know what this stuff's gonna be and like it's just so easy I think to get lost in it where you're like have one bad night or one bad award show or a bad shoot and I think so many people that's what burns them out on this industry where you see people who are only here for like a year or two because of the highs and lows and I don't think it's necessarily for everyone. I think you really have to be a resilient person and really kind of have perspective.
100%. My girlfriend Belle Bates, she's been a performer for like four
Mhm.
or 5 years now, and she says the same thing. Like you see the same like crop of people pop up, like they'll last a year or two, they'll get burnt out, they'll leave. You'll see the same archetypes, the same dramas play out. So I'm too new to maybe have seen all that yet, but I definitely have seen a lot of people come and go and realize, hey, this isn't all it's cracked up to be. So it definitely takes a bit of insanity and passion to keep going, I feel like.
Yeah, I think just being grounded is like the best possible thing. And I think you being in Arizona, you have a little bit of space from it where I feel like people who are maybe in Vegas or LA, it's almost inescapable because that becomes your entire social group, that becomes your entire kind of world, you know?
See, I'm jealous of that. I almost want to move to Vegas or LA, even if just for having more like kinky, sexy friends who I can relate to and who like understand my work and I don't have to like hide things from. So I don't know. I do kind of
Yeah.
miss out on some of that community out here, though. There are a lot of performers who live out here nowadays. So I do need to probably just network better and connect with folks better. But that's something that I'm thinking about is possibly relocating. I don't know if that's going to be in my cards this year or not, but it feels like yeah, I'd like to be more plugged into the industry as a whole, even though these days obviously we can make such connections and such good living online, not even having to go anywhere. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think the Arizona porn scene's kind of slept on. I feel like there's a lot of performers who came from there, you know, like Maxine Holloway's originally from there, Dora Bell's from there,
I think
Holly
Caitlin,
Hawks.
yeah, Caitlin Katsaros is here, Rebel Riders here. Like a lot of my heroes are here. But then a lot of people kind of make this like their home base. It's like, all right, well, I'm in Arizona. I'm not shooting right now. Let me fly to Prague. Let me fly to, LA or something and shoot there. So I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
there's a lot here, but there's also not a lot here. And we're just close enough to LA and Vegas that it's like only 4 or 5 hours to get there, but it's just far enough away that you're not going to drop that for like a last minute shoot and do that drive. So I don't know. It's like close and in the thick of things, but also far away and in the middle of the desert. So
Yeah, I got the Arizona pitch a million times from family members there. They're like, "Oh, it's only 5 hours from San Diego. You can go to LA easy. It's cheap." Like I've heard that pitch so many times from my Arizona family.
I know, I know. So yeah, now I'm kind of faced with, hey, do I like upend my life here? Because I had a pretty established life here, friends and family and stuff. So I'm like,
Hmm.
do I upend all this to chase this crazy, beautiful dream and try to, do more mainstream studio shoots? Do I invest in like my studio out here and my own self-producer abilities and like just try to shoot more people out here? So I'm kind of at like a crossroads with what to do this upcoming year.
Yeah, with your content, like what's kind of your creative process? How do you kind of like both prepare like physically for a scene, but like how do you maybe like the creative process, like how do you come up with a scene?
That is a good question. I mean, some scenes are more just gonzo. Hey, this person
Hmm.
hit me up. We're going to film this day. What sexy outfit? What location? I try to be mindful of all that with every scene. Where are we going to shoot it? What's the lighting going to be like? What's the outfit going to be like? What's the premise? I don't know if every scene just have like a big story, but I do try to have at least like a marketing pull for each scene where I can say,
Hmm.
hey, here is your sexy maid scene. Here is your pickleball scene. So at least I have some kind of like
Your
thing to
pickleball scene.
yeah, I had a pickleball scene with Stacy Lynn that we did where we wore like cute tennis outfits and we had like the pickleball like I don't know what they're called rackets and she was like
Yeah,
spanking me with
yeah.
it and like paddling my balls with it. And I feel like then it lets you have like an easy in. Okay, well I'm posting a picture. I'm gonna caption it something about pickleball, keeping my eyes on the ball, my coach, this and that. So I like to kind of make my life easier by having some kind of clear marketing push, even though I might
Yeah.
not have like a whole storyboard written out for a scene. With some scenes, I will like develop them further. If like, hey, I really want to do this parody or I really want to do this like theme, I might go a little bit more out of my way with sourcing costume stuff. I've done some crazy stuff sometimes to get the right bit of costume or the right bit of kit that we need. I might have broken some laws from time to time, but ultimately, my commitment to the bit, my commitment to making sure that we have a good theming is probably what makes the difference.
That's really great. I just think it's so interesting hearing like other BDSM performers' creative process, just because I feel like everyone has such a different thing because all these scenes are kind of elaborate. Like when you're doing BDSM, it's not just like a basic girl girl shoot where you're like, okay, we're gonna shoot in a hotel, go, it's a girl girl scene, you know? Where I feel like it's this whole other thing where you're like are trying to very specifically make certain acts happen or certain toys or furniture being utilized. I feel like it's a little bit more of a creative process than maybe some people who are shooting more just like basic girl girl or boy girl porn.
Oh yeah, if someone has never had the pleasure of putting on a latex cat suit, then I would invite them to come become a BDSM performer and put on some latex and see like that's harder than the actual scene itself. So yeah, it definitely is a lot more difficult. You've got to manage, what marks are going to be on my body, what kind of safe words are there, how's everyone to stay comfortable. The last thing I'd want is to be in a situation where myself or a co-star are uncomfortable or injured or like not feeling like their boundaries are being respected. So
Mhm.
there's a lot more that you have to like negotiate and get into, it feels like, for sure, with BDSM.
Yeah, I think that's like the biggest thing with BDSM is the more extreme, the more intense you're gonna have a scene, the more preparation that goes into it, and the more consent talk that goes into it. And I think a lot of people just see BDSM and they're like, okay, this means no limits, this means this or this, and kind of the opposite where you have to really be on a checklist and really do like the things in the, real planning way as opposed to, just going out and shooting.
Oh yeah, no, I was doing a scene with another performer back in August where she was hooked up to like a respirator which was controlling her breath, and we didn't even realize, me and the person filming, producing the scene, that at some point like her breath had stopped. We didn't even realize she was just like sitting there like gasping for breath, unable to breathe, strapped in this rig. So yeah, she could have literally died if we had not been like on the ball and paying attention and
Wow.
checking in on each other's like security and safety. So you definitely need to keep a greater sense of awareness, I think, on those sorts of shoots.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like that's so scary in a way. Like breath play always kind of is a little fear of mine. I did this scene with a latex hood. It only has like two holes on it. Even within that, I'm like, oh my God, I need to tap out at certain moments. Like, I also think it's just like understanding that it's okay to stop a scene and then restart it. Where I feel like there's almost this mindset with people who maybe aren't in the BDSM world that if someone says red, it means everything's over. You know what I mean?
Right. I'll try to be mindful of your claustrophobia if we ever do film together. I'll try to make sure that you have plenty of airflow, and then if there's any breath play, it's well discussed and well
I'm like,
prepared for.
if it's good for the content, I can do it for a little bit. I mean, I feel like that's most things where it's like you can do things in a certain context and make it look good, even if it's okay, I can only shoot 5 minutes of this, you know?
Absolutely, yeah. And I definitely I'm like you. I'm down to try anything at least once, even if it makes me nervous as hell. And most things I've tried, it might make me nervous at first. I'm like, oh, you know what? Actually, that's not so bad. Electro play is not so bad. Breath play is not so bad. So I don't know. Maybe I'm more fucked up than I give myself credit for.
See, there's like a few things that I'm like needles. That's such a hard no for me. Also terrified of fire. That's another one. Electricity, I've done one electricity scene. It's like I'm so glad I have it, but also I was like definitely crying in the scene.
What about sounding? That for me is like the big thing. I don't like sticking things in my dick hole.
No, definitely not. I've never done anything like that. I think it might be a little bit too intense for me, honestly, but um more power to the people who decide to do that. I've seen people both with penises and vaginas do sounding. There's this really intense scene that's like screening around European festivals. Actually, the creator of it's a sponsor for the podcast. They have a scene called Wrong Holes Only, and it's an entire scene of just insertion into like weird holes. So it's like nose insertion, it's like urethra insertion, ears, like all the craziest shit. It's so wild to me.
I love the intersection between body horror and pornography. I don't know if I would be jerking off to that, but it does sound fascinating and it does sound very uncomfortable, which is a
I'm
beautiful
just a
thing.
big humiliation, so anything that's uncomfortable or weird, I'm like, I can get down with that a little bit. Have to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was kind of like the first scene or first moment that made you realize more that this was more than just like a shoot or two, that you wanted to pursue it more seriously?
It was probably honestly my weekend at the Tees last year.
Mm.
Because I went, even though I was only like 5 months in the industry, I thought, hey, it's only a few hours away. I'll go, I'll meet some people, I'll set up some collabs. And I got some shit from that. Some friends like, why are you even coming to this? You've never even done like any pro shoots. You've never even, done this and that. Why would you come to this? But it ended up being such an affirming weekend where I just met so many amazing friends. I just felt like I belonged. I was able to do a lot of shooting that weekend, which believe me, this year I learned my lesson. I did not schedule very many shoots, but last year I kind of was like, hey, I'm kind of a badass. I can do all these shoots back to back, and I can come to events and I can kind of live this lifestyle. And I feel like I do belong and have a spot in this industry. So definitely just sort of that experience of actually being at an industry event in person. It kind of is less scary and less intimidating. You realize that a lot of people might filter their pictures or might like, I don't know, like be really good at angles and stuff. So then you see
Yeah.
them in your life, like, wait a minute, actually, I can do this. This isn't so daunting. So yeah, that was a big confidence boost for me. It was just kind of being there in LA, working with all these pros, getting all these tough scenes done, and then having the reaction too. Like you can film all you want, but if you don't put the time into releasing and like marketing and making promo, it's all
Hmm.
kind of for nothing. So once I kind of realized what the whole job entailed and that I could do it and um people would actually buy shit, I think that was a big aha light bulb moment.
So amazing. I think it's like such a cool thing that there's just that many trans sex workers in one place at one time. I obviously have my own history with the T Awards, and I'm really glad it still exists and everything. I don't think it's necessarily my vibe after my Taylor Swift moment there, and then the one year I did not attend directly after our movie won movie of the year, and I'm like, I think this is just the universe being like, hey, you don't need to do this one.
Yeah, you told me a little about this Taylor Swift moment, and it's actually funny because I've gotten a lot of different perspectives in the last week or two on this whole debate. Because for those who don't know, the T Awards, the Trans Erotic Awards, they used to be called the Tranny Awards, right?
Yes, they very much were.
And you were one of the people who was, dead set on helping change that, right? And helping us
Yeah.
move into the future. I've talked to some people who are on the opposite side of that discussion who had the opposite thought, which is interesting to me to hear kind of their reasoning and why they thought it should stay the Tranny Awards. But maybe you could tell me more about like that Taylor Swift moment and what all that entailed because it sounds
Yeah.
so salacious.
Yeah, it was not the best fun. So I'm from small town Michigan. I'm from this little town named Holland. It's really cute. It's like a mini Netherlands that's in the Midwest, right? It's only like
Hmm.
30,000 people. Very wholesome, very small town. They actually just made a horror movie about my hometown. It's on Amazon right now with Nicole Kidman. Really random, but
That's how you know it's really fucked up. If they're giving it
yeah,
like the Winnie the Pooh treatment.
it's definitely more like Stepford Wives sort of horror, I think they're trying to make it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, but I came into the industry very naive. Let's just say that. Where I was very much like, oh, if I raise issues that I sincerely care about, the industry will respect it and be like, oh wow, Chelsea, thank you for sharing that. Right?
Yeah, ideally.
So I went to my first T Awards, or it was still called the Tranny Awards at the time. And I went to my first LA party, and someone gave me a Molly. And I was like, oh, okay, I do this at home in Michigan. It's gonna be fine, right? So earlier in the day, I had a shoot for an offensive named website that I regret shooting for, but they gave me a pill that was like an off-brand Viagra or something. They really pressured it on me, right? Which doesn't
Hmm.
really happen that much in on porn sets anymore, I don't think. So I took that earlier in the day, and then I took a Molly, and then I overdosed on Molly at my first LA party ever, right?
Oh God.
So it was at this director's house, and I like destroyed his couch, like completely wrecked his couch,
Fuck yo,
and
couch.
like literally like destroyed. And one of my friends who I went with down to LA, we had a bunch of queer performers from the Bay, and like the Bay area queer porn scene was still going, so they took care of me that whole night. The next day I went to my first award show ever. It was fine. I was nominated for two awards. I didn't win anything. No worries. But Vice was there and they interviewed me on the red carpet and they're like, what do you think of the name? And I'm from the Midwest. I'm going to be genuine with someone. Why would I lie to the press? You know?
Right.
So I was like, this is kind of messed up. I don't support this. Like, I don't think cis people should be profiting off of transphobic slurs. If trans people want to do it, more power to them. Reclaim your shit, get your money. So that happened. And then all these people started getting mad at me on Twitter about that. I was like, shit. So I started a petition like 6 months later to get rid of the slurs. And I got blacklisted from all the major transport sites at the time, right?
Oof.
So I released my first movie called Fucking Mystic. I did my first gangbang in it. Um, I got my first AVN nomination from it. Super exciting. I was nominated for 5 T awards that night. Super stoked. I had my whole team there, everyone from the movie, everyone from who helped with production, like all my friends, right? And then the host came out and just started trashing me when I was in the front row and was looking directly at me in the eye.
Oh God.
So usually I would just be like, I'm just gonna go on my phone and ignore this, right? I
Right.
left my phone in the fucking Uber.
Oh no. This is set up for disaster way
It's
ahead of
so set
time.
up
This
for
is slow
disaster.
moving. Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, that's the worst like 15 minutes of my life to open this award show. No one stopped this girl, right? So it
Right.
just continued. And I'm like, fuck, okay, I'm nominated for 5 awards. I lost all 5 awards, right? So then that night, I'm like, I think this is probably the time to quit porn, you know? Like, that's a realistic
Yeah.
view where I'm like, okay, this was my big moment, and my big moment is being berated on stage by a trans woman who's like twice my age at the time.
Oh God.
So that like next day, I don't know if they still do it. Do they do the party the day after the awards?
Now they do the party on Friday, then the awards on Sunday.
So there were all these girls who were like trying to fight me after that. And they were trying to get me to go to the after party, and I was like, I don't want to do that. But I got invited to I was really like obsessed with Lindsay Lohan back in the day, right? Like right when she came out as gay, like in the 2000s. So I got an invite to this club that she was like always at. So I'm like, oh my God, I might get to meet Lindsay Lohan. So I totally blew up the T Award like after party just to go to that. And then I never went back to any T award thing after that. But then next year we won movie of the year for movie I did in New England with Nika Noel.
Hell
So
yeah.
that's kind of my whole T story where it obviously got very bad and those first 2 years with an OD experience and then a I guess Taylor Swift moment, I would say.
Yeah.
It definitely just made me be like, this is not the right place for me. Does that give it a little bit more context?
That gives it a lot of context, and it definitely is not an unbelievable story. Having been to a few teas and been in this industry for a little bit of time, I'm not surprised that people would act that way. I think we've come a long way as an industry in the last 10
We
years.
have.
So
We
I'm
have.
grateful for that. And I'm grateful that you are now no longer out in the cold with your opinions and beliefs on slurs, and that's now pretty standard belief, but yeah, it's pretty crazy to hear the story about how things were way back when Lindsay Lohan was still, well, now I guess Lindsay Lohan's relevant event. She has a new Freakier Friday coming
She's
out.
back.
She's got a dope
So
new facelift.
so the sad part is Lindsay Lohan was not there.
Oh,
But I did get to meet like the I don't know, do you ever watch the show America's Next Top Model?
yes.
Do you remember the really creepy looking girl who drank her own blood?
No.
I think it's Allison something, but she was there and I got to talk to her and she was like really creepy and shit. I'm like, fuck yeah. This is what I'm here for. This is my LA moment.
Yeah. Shit. Would you ever is that something that we can even do on porn, like pretend to drink blood or have like fake blood, or is that pretty much shied
So
away from?
it's like, do you want to make money off of it or do you just want to screen it? I think that's what that falls into.
Yeah, because I used to do like all kinds of film camps and homemade movies and things. So I learned that on black and white film, chocolate sauce makes an excellent fake blood. So I'd
Yeah,
love to
that's what they did
just,
in Psycho.
yeah, okay, yeah. So I'd love to just have a nice vampire film where I just get to down tons of chocolate sauce, but it looks like blood. Like that would just make my life.
Yeah, I had a few friends who were in New York who were definitely on like the more experimental end of porn that just had like gallons of fake blood for scenes. It's just like in their living room. Um,
Yeah.
I think also like I don't know if you've ever really explored like the European festival, film festival scene before, but there's a lot more genre pushing things where it's porn, but it's also these like kind of weird experimental films where you can do a lot more. Where I feel like in especially the United States, porn is so tied to being a capitalistic and really you're making porn to make money. Where I feel like in Europe, it's definitely more of a artistic thing where some of these porn scenes that are in film festivals are making money and stuff. But I think they're definitely open to a lot more experimentation and things that just screen in festivals because that's kind of like their intended audience.
Yeah, I'd love to experience that. It's really not something I know anything about or have experience with. I really want to make it over to Europe sometime this year. I have a studio out there that wants to shoot with me, so I'm hopeful I can get involved in that scene because like a lot of my heroes, I go and shoot out there almost exclusively, and it just seems to be a very different porn market than the kind of American. It's like how I do everything in America, Mickey Mouse and guns and hot dogs. It's kind of how our porn is too. And
For
then,
sure.
you look at, like I was saying, the OnlyFans generation and everything's built for like the lowest common denominator. You see all this shit on Twitter, Wata, Chudai. It's just like a race to the bottom, it feels like, with how can we make like generic little clips and seeing long form pornography kind of go the way of the 8 track or the dinosaurs is tough.
Yeah, I think it's also I think mainstream porn right now is on the highest levels in the best spot like it's been in a very long time. Like I think the movies that are winning like AVN Best Movie, like what Ricky Greenwood is making, I think it's really taking porn to a more artistic place that it hasn't been for a while. Where I feel like when I first got into porn, like not even just the trans porn, but like all the porn was just so overly offensive. Where it's just like fucked up cum slut 7, where it was
Yeah.
just like so derogatory. And I mean, obviously we are in the BDSM world, so I have 8 movies that start with the word fuck, but I think it's also just still like when you're claiming it for yourself, I think that's very different than when a company that's worth tens of millions of dollars is calling their workers derogatory slurs.
Right.
What
Yeah.
so you've been in this industry for like a year and a half-ish, right? Something close to that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what are you like? Do you have a scene that you're really wanting to shoot? Do you have like a dream scene right now? Because for me, it was like the public disgrace scene for like literally 10 years. That was like my big goal.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a few like of my own concepts that I've had kind of on the back burner, some of them for a year now, where I've been like
Hmm.
waiting for the stars to align with the right co-stars or the right location or the right just like I don't know. So there've been a few scenes like that. Some I don't want to get into too much as far as like the trade secrets and some of my branding and marketing things I have planned for that. But I just want to really get into I don't know more. I want to shoot more scenes with cis models, cis female models as well as
Yeah.
trans male models. I feel like that's an area that is something I really want to grow more in, expand in. It's kind of was like a very frightening for me to do anything but just purely bottom for a while. But now I'm like, you know what? I can be a top, I can be a dominant, I can do all this stuff. So shooting more scenes like that, shooting more group scenes for sure. It's so hard when you're in like the creator collab space to get more than like 2 or 3 people together at a time.
Yeah.
So yeah, trying to
Those group
somehow
emails are hard.
yeah, exactly. Like we were supposed to do this whole like big group scene last weekend at the Tees, and I think half the girls, dropped out the last minute, so it ended up being like 3 people. So doing more like big group stuff, doing more blasphemous stuff. I'm big into the blasphemy. I love to fight fire with fire. So if my porn can make Christians even a little bit more uncomfortable than they already are with trans porn, that's great by me. So just doing more stuff like with church and religious imagery, doing more stuff with dominatrixes. There's a lot of dominatrixes I want to work with.
Yeah.
Just yeah, so just getting more into, and then just more BDSM where it's like, hey, we're actually tying, we're actually gonna have like a steel rig, we're actually gonna have like I don't know, device bondage, just actually more stuff like that where we're able to make like really good looking, like really good atmosphere bondage porn. It doesn't look like it's too like amateur happening in my living room.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the great thing about BDSM right now is trans women can get nominated and be in all these same spaces as cis performers, where before that just was not the case. Like, I just am so glad that's continuing, that there's people like Roxy Moth also got nominated for Best BDSM Movie a few years ago, that it just feels like it's really grown to a point where you're always going to have one or two trans people nominated in the BDSM category. And that just like makes me so fucking happy because when I first got into the industry, background like when all the T shit happened, it was very much still like, oh, trans women can't be in BDSM, where it's like you only can do solo porn and vanilla stuff. Where I feel like half of my activism for inclusion and stuff and getting rid of slurs was because I was just like wanted to shoot the fucked up porn that just honestly wasn't allowed for trans women at the time, you know?
That's a very noble but also selfish reasoning, which we
It
love,
really
you
is.
know.
That's why I feel like there's sometimes I do interviews now and people are like, do you view like your porn is very political right now and like very activist? And I'm like, compared to where it was, no, because I feel like I can mostly exist as how I want to exist in porn and have my porn be viewed the right way, where it's not just so limited to your transness, where you are a performer and isn't just that you're yes, whatever. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, it still feels like there are some obviously indignities that we have to go through. There's obviously not still equal parity between our cis counterparts and us,
Hmm.
but it does feel like, from what I've seen, what I've heard, it feels like a whole different ball game than it was 5 years ago. And now I think, most performers are happy to work with trans performers, which is
For
great to
sure.
me. So
Yeah, I think it's just so special that it's now just becoming so much more normalized. And also I feel like this next generation of performers, including yourself, that you guys are willing to call out the stuff more is really inspiring to me because it needs to always be pushed, you know? Like, I think it's up to every generation to make porn a better place, whether you're cis or trans. And that whenever workers are speaking out, I think it's really, really important to listen to them. And I never want to be in the role of the person who's shouting down anyone because my experience has been different because I've been in the industry for so long, you know?
yes, no, I mean, I definitely have learned that in the last year and a half. I've encountered people who don't take safety seriously. I've encountered people who are scam artists, who are,
Yeah.
not safe DOMs, who are not safe producers. And so I've definitely been in my fair share of controversies. I try to always be judicious and not like dogpiling people until we have a whole story and stuff. But sometimes, yeah, certain behaviors has to be called out. I won't play with it. And it's scary, like what you're saying happened to you, getting blacklisted and
Hmm.
getting, all this pushback for what you know is right. A lot of times it's like that in the moment where there's a big incentive for creators to stay silent even when they are being victimized, even when they are being abused. So I'm very grateful that the industry seems to have changed. I was able to speak out about a few uh, problematic things this last year, and it didn't seem to dent my momentum or my career prospects too much. Because yeah, I'm like you. I'm like I'll fucking torpedo everything to speak truth to power if I have to. Like fuck it, I'm not playing with this shit. So
Yeah. I see. I don't. Sometimes people ask me, they're like, would you do it again? And I'm like, I don't know. I think I just came into it so naive that I don't think I knew the repercussions. You know what I mean?
that's true. You got to be a little careful. I have friends like that who, may have said the wrong thing or pissed off the wrong person. It does hurt their mainstream prospects a lot, unfortunately. So it's something my dad always told me is you got to find your high status friend in business or work or whatever. So you definitely have to at some level kiss ass and like keep the right people happy. But at the same time, I feel like we're in a spot where when people are being flagrant in their abuse or in
Hmm.
making people unsafe, it doesn't matter how much money they have, how well connected they are. Like hopefully they can be put on blast and held accountable.
Yeah, I also think it's what your personal goals in this industry are because I think everyone's different. Where my goals were like, I want to shoot gangbangs, I want to do this stuff. I also want to kind of have a foot where I'm getting auditions for hipster mainstream shit. Like, I wanted to do both. I basically just want to be Sasha Grey, if we're being honest here. Like, let's be honest. But what are like some of your goals in your career still? Like, you are fresh off a trophy, amazing. What are you like looking to build this into in the next 3 to 5 years?
Good question. I definitely want to keep up the momentum. Next thing for me is definitely to try to get a gangbang. You've mentioned that a few times, and I'm like
Fuck
so
yeah.
jealous. Like how so whether organizing my own gangbang or like I was saying, maybe going to Europe. That's something that I've been working on trying to get prepared for because I think that could be a big career move to go there, shoot with some studios that don't shoot with a lot of trans models.
Yeah.
Just keep pushing that representation is kind of part of my goal. Being a voice, I mean, obviously we're in such a scary time for trans people, for queer people. I feel like we're about to see a lot more repression, a lot more people being too afraid to come out of the closet. So I just want my art to speak to those people, to kind of give them a space where they can see themselves represented in erotica, see their kinky fantasies represented. I want to try to shoot with more mainstream studios. I've been lucky enough to shoot a lot with Groovy. I love them. I love all my producers, Nikki and Omar with them a lot. But just
Mhm.
trying to shoot with some other big studios, see how they do it when they have maybe a little bit bigger budget or a little bit bigger, um, you know, effort for like the story aspect or the theming or the props or all that fun stuff that I see some of the bigger studios
Mhm.
get into. So all that is high on my list. Getting more sustainable in the income side of things because while all this stuff is great and fun, it's hard to turn it into a sustainable income and not feel
Yeah.
burnt out all the time. So I definitely need some help on like the admin business side of things so I can hopefully spend more time just focusing on creating stuff. So yeah, that's kind of where my head's at for the next few years is, and then like you said, just kind of looking for maybe if there's any opportunity for crossover to mainstream work as well. Because like I said, I have a background in film and writing in general, and you've seen a lot of great creators kind of make that leap last few years. Chloe
Yeah.
Cherry, who is a cis performer, she
Mhm.
was famously in Euphoria. I want to try to capture, I guess, part of what I'm actually going through on the back end because what you see on camera is great in porn. But I promise you, audience, that everything that happens behind the camera is 10 times more fascinating and dramatic and salacious. So I'm trying to be a good chronicler of everything that I've gone through because it's crazy, girl. I don't even know how to start relaying
It's
everything I've been
fucking
through.
wild. Like,
Yeah, so yeah, I think it'd make a great like book or show or something. So yeah, if I
yeah,
can, if I can,
I'm trying to do a thing where I'm just talking about like my first 10 years in the industry, and it's just fucking so dense. Like, there's just so much that happened that nobody knows about.
it's a lot. It's a lot of crazy stuff. I feel like it was only a year and a half ago I started, but it feels like a lifetime ago. I feel like a totally different person. So yeah, it'll change you, but I've also met all my best friends in porn. I've met so many amazing creatives, kind, neurodivergent, kinky weirdos. It's just definitely I feel like I'm blessed to have found my people, though sometimes it is a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think acknowledging it's a lot and that there's going to be ups and downs and stuff. And it just makes me so happy to see what you're doing and what other trans BDSM creators are doing because it really makes me be like, oh shit, what Stephanie and I did really kind of set a precedent to be like, you can do all this crazy stuff. And just because you're a trans woman doesn't mean that you're excluded from that. So I think that's like a legacy thing I'm really fucking proud of. And to see you continue to make stuff and get awarded for your work is fucking amazing.
Thank you, dear. Thank you for kicking those doors down for us. And thank you for taking no prisoners in the process. And yeah, I'm just so grateful to have legendary performers like you help, show me the ropes and teach me about things and just talk to me. It means so much when you kind of
Yeah.
offered to just be sounding board and just like help me vent. Like, because yeah, knowing that I have that person who I can like ping pong ideas off of and
Hmm.
just like who's been in this situation before. It's so amazingly helpful. So thank you for what you do for
Yeah,
us.
of course. Like, I just always want to provide that for like the next generation of girls who are doing this stuff because, yeah, like the generation before me, I saw so many people get so burnt out. When I first started working at the Armory, there was literally two generations of trans performers who were there before me. who were like, okay, we're gonna get them to be inclusive. We're gonna get them to do this. And one of the performers, they literally took all their ideas and fired them. So I'm just like now being able to be like, okay, Stephanie and I were able to, create the first trans submissive series. We were able to, build this stuff up that now that it's a really possible thing for other trans women to do. However, I can help. I'm more than happy to listen to you talk about the difficulties of this, your wins, your losses, because it's not easy. And I think that's just continuing makes me so fucking happy because we need girls doing this stuff because there's tons of women, both cis and trans, who will be able to relate to our content and kind of be able to demystify the scariness of BDSM.
Absolutely. It's not so scary, though it is something that you should take precaution before you try at home because it's a lot harder than you'd think once you start getting in these stress positions and getting tied up. It's like, wait a minute, that's actually super uncomfortable. So I'll get people, they'll comment on some uncomfortable tie or something like, keep me like this for 4 days in your basement and feed me your piss. I'm like, that's what you're saying. I guarantee after 10 minutes, you'd be tapping out. Like, my back hurts, my joints hurt, my knees hurt. So,
Yeah.
the
I mean, it's
fantasy of it, yeah.
a hot fantasy, but then when you're really in that situation, you're like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So, I have one more question for you. So, if you listen to the podcast, you might know that this is coming. This is my only BuzzFeed sort of question. Let's say you can wake up tomorrow and you can magically change one thing in porn. What would you have it be?
Oh my goodness. Magically change one thing in porn. I think
Yes.
um I mean obviously it's like show business, right? We talked about that a little bit
Yeah.
earlier in the podcast. And so I think you get a lot of competing egos. You get a lot of people who are maybe more like looking out for themselves and not for that sense of community or that sense of like how everyone else is doing. So I
Hmm.
just probably give some people a good shake, like, hey, like you don't need to put other people down to get ahead. You don't need to view other models as your competition.
Yeah.
There was a great post about this on X that was going around the other day from a cis creator who unfortunately passed away. Neptune explains it all, but she's just kind of talking about, hey, like focus on your personality, your brand, your content. You don't need to tear down other people. I've had a lot of headwinds and setbacks because like I said, I've raised a stink about some issues with safety, some issues with performers who are not doing the right
Hmm.
thing, or producers, and it sucks to see like pushback from other models that I respect and admire, but who are like, I don't know, either choosing career or choosing ego or choosing whatever over like doing the right thing. So I would just hope that we don't need to view it all as a competition or a battle with each other, that we
For
can have each
sure.
other's backs as models and hopefully just like keep advocating for ourselves for better pay, better opportunities, better shoots, more inclusive shoots. Not seeing it just sort of be the same few people over and over again, but have it kind of feature more, more diverse bodies and voices in the industry.
For sure. I love that. I think it's also like so important to really respect your own career in that everyone has their own path that's unique to them. I think a lot of people get very caught up in jealousy in this industry, where people are like, well, if I had that girl's career, if I had this or this from this other performer. But I think it also kind of erases and the uniqueness of your own story. You know what I mean? Like your story is unique and it should be celebrated and you should be able to, be happy about that.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I had such a great time talking with you about all this BDSM stuff, the trans porn industry, and kind of everything else. Where can everyone find you on social media? And do you have a website where people can check out your work?
Yes, you can find me on Napster. No, I'm joking. You can find my
I was like,
main
girl, that's crazy.
I gotta stop aging myself. I'm only 25 forever, everyone. No, you can find me on Twitter. Obviously, I'm still on the Hellscape. My at
So
there is
bad.
Dusty_Bunny. Um, very anxious to leave there. So also follow me on Blue Sky. On Blue Sky, I'm at dustybunny.bluesky.social. We love how Blue Sky does it. I always joke with my girlfriend. I always call her tsbellbates.bluesky.social dot like so many things. I'm on
Yeah,
only, yeah.
the
What?
wording on Blue Sky. Oh.
Yeah,
bad.
it's a little clunky, but I kind of appreciate being like such an elder millennial. I kind of appreciate the retro throwbackness of it.
Hmm.
People can find me on OnlyFans too. Unfortunately, I'm on there as well, even though they are not always the best. But I'm at Dusty Bunny on OnlyFans for my premium. At Free Dusty is my freemium OnlyFans. And then ManyVids has been a big I don't know, it's been a big support system for me. I've got a lot of sales there, so I appreciate everyone on ManyVids. Just kind of works with my brain. You put the porn on the website and then you sell it. So I'm at Dusty Bunny on ManyVids. Go find me there. And yeah, if anyone listens to this podcast and DMs me like a code, DMs me like Poe something on any of my sites, I'll give you a discount code, like 25.
Wow, I'm a discount
Yeah.
code. Love that.
Yeah, you got a discount code on the podcast. We got NordVPN. We got no, I'm joking.
No, we don't have NordVPN. We have a French alternative porn site. So that's a
Yes.
good sponsor, but maybe NordVPN, maybe like what's the super greens or what is it called?
Oh yeah, I don't even
Yeah.
know, but yeah.
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 Um but thank you so much for coming on. I had such a great time talking with you. I can't wait to see what you do in the future. And yeah, honestly, anytime you need any help in the industry or need to vent, my DMs are always open. So thank you so much for coming on again.
Thank you, dear, for having me. Let's do it again soon.
Yeah, bye everyone.
Bye.